I came across a reel from the atheist community of Austin fairly recently. And whilst normally I would save it and make it into one of my reels runs in the future, which do tend to lag behind quite a bit, I'm not sure a short video of only a few seconds would cover everything there's need to say about this. So I'm responding to it in a long form ASAP. One frequent contributor to their various shows, by the name of Johnny P. Angel, said that dogs were better than any god, especially Yahweh, and went on a long ramble about them wanting only love, affection, scratches and treats, while God demands worship and obedience under the threat of unearthly punishment. Not only does this show a lack of understanding of God in the Bible, it also, ironically, shows a lack of understanding about dogs. How is this the case? Well, let us dig into this and find out more about the differences and similarities between God and dogs. His main point is that dogs only want love, affection, treats and scratches, whilst being unfailingly loyal and loving. However, this has three major flaws in it. Firstly, this is only true of modern dogs. I've lived and worked around dogs on off for most of my life, and from our old German Shepherd Collie Cross to our Showline Retriever, from the Choir Master's Coney to my old boss's Doberman Pinscher, all of them were household pets whose only job is to be a creature comfort and interpersonal interaction. Basically, a means of being social without leaving the house much. It's also a form of exercise in some ways. The thing is, dogs weren't always like that. Descendants of wolves, dogs' early interactions with humans were transactional, often just hanging around, getting food, and occasionally seeing off dangers or warning them of dangers. This later developed into the roles in human society, firstly being hunting dogs, and then guarding, and eventually herding. The earliest of sheepdogs, interestingly enough, didn't have any loyalty to the shepherd, but only to the flock. Many dogs had to work for a living, and there are still some like that today. You'll find many, particularly the Great Guardian breeds like the Turkish Kangol, the Great Pyrenees, and many more, who refuse to have anything to do with humans and focus primarily on their job. Yes, they are social animals, but they need contact with humans at an early age to give them any of that sociality. Second, that behaviour of being loyal and loving to humans was specifically bred into them. We made them subservient, loving, loyal and faithful. You can't just take a random wolf from the wild, pet it, call it a good boy, yes you are a good boy, and have it roll onto the floor looking for belly rubs. Assuming you didn't take your arm off before you got it home, it would not be inclined to stay, and it's not going to respond to man's affections. It is a lot more work, and often that involves being a bit more stern than loving. Third, dogs need that love and affection, as well as care and nurturing, or all that loving, loyal nature will go away. There are way too many videos of stray dogs on the streets, have been kicked out of houses, abandoned by families who couldn't take care of them, beaten and abused, or just plain ignored by people who got a dog for Christmas and never cared for it properly. It's often said, a dog isn't just for Christmas, it's for life. And that is very true. And there are brilliant examples of that in the Australian dingoes and even the feral dogs of Pripyat in the Ukraine. So not only is Johnny's basic assumption about dogs only true for your average everyday pupper, but it was something that we made them into, and moreover, something we must work in order to maintain. Dogs require care and attention if they are to survive. In theory, and there are some cases in practice, they can manage on their own as feral strays, but that is basically abuse by abandonment. A good dog owner cares for their dogs and gives them the attention they need. This requires discipline, self-control, and understanding of another. You can't just leave your dog at home and go on holiday. You can't just ignore them all day long. They need daily exercise, outing for their business. And that's just not something that can be done on a whim, since weather conditions can be unfavourable to dogs at that time and requires paying attention to things elsewhere. They need to be taken to the vets on the regular, and depending on the breed you have, they need their fur trimmed, groomed, picked for fleas and sticky burrs. In short, they're far from easy balls of fluff. They require a lot of maintenance, even for the low energy breeds. Sounds a lot like something that religion asks for us on a regular basis. There are more parallels too. Picking a dog for you and the family is very much like picking a church. You need to pick one that you can work with and not be a burden on the family. One that gives you value to your lives and doesn't interfere with it, and more importantly, one that doesn't put your family in danger. The latter is something that must have been in Johnny's mind when he took on his dog, which is a bully breed. A pit bull or an American bully, I don't know. I don't pretend to know what was going through his head, but stories of bull breeds attacking and scarring children for life have been in the newspapers for many years, and the dangerous dog lists has them at the top. As any dog owner knows, you can't judge the pet by the breed, only the owners. And I'm sure the owner of this dog is perfectly responsible, and the dog is well trained and disciplined. Otherwise, I wouldn't expect Johnny to take the dog anywhere, let alone into a workplace. The same is true of churches. Know about the church before you join it, and you'll be able to see if it's right for you, regardless of its reputation in the wider community or even across the world. One thing he raised was that a dog rushes to the door to greet you. Quite apart from the fact that can be for any reason, and only because they're going to be happy about it, that you allow for it, that is very much the story of the prodigal son. When the son left home, spent his fortune, then came home looking for help, his father saw him from afar and rushed to greet him. That's very much my dog. And the longer you're away, the more excited she is to see me. The strangest parallel is that she's also seemingly dismissive of those who are always there at home, like the father in the story. For the son, who was always there working the fields, he was always there, but he ran to meet the person who had been away for a very long time. On the topic of my dog, her communication is something we can learn from here. I hate the term whisperer because it implies a secret knowledge of the animal, when really anyone can be a so-called whisperer if they are willing to listen and stop shouting at the animal. If you're willing to learn what They are asking, in their own way, you can develop a loving bond with your pet. My dog can tell me she wants to go outside by heading towards the door and then looking at me. She can tell me she wants to come back in by looking at me through the window. And she can tell me that she can hear something by standing still and looking in the direction she hears it coming from. This isn't some mystical connection. It's basic body language, something which we humans use ourselves quite a lot. The real trick is getting them to snap out of it and get them to pay attention again, something I've yet to teach my dog. This shows you can communicate very easily without the need for big movements or loud noises, and we just need to pay attention. Similar to if we pay attention to the world around us, we can find God. One more thing I think also needs mentioning is that he said he can prove his dog exists by bringing it into the studio. However, this isn't something that can be done like that, since the dog isn't right next to him all the time. No, his odds are across the city. I don't know the layout of Austin, Texas. I don't know how that works in his case. I don't know where he lives in relation to their studio, but I'm guessing it's not close. So it's not like he can just whistle and the dog will come running. No. Also, how do we know that is his dog and not just any old friendly pooch that he borrowed from the street for that purpose, or just any pooch that came running to him because he heard a whistle? We genuinely need to know him and his dog to know that they are together. The same is true of me. I could claim that my dog is right here with me, but because she's asleep and I don't have her jump on my chair, you can't see her. Likewise, you could ask, bring the dog on. But I've got plenty of reasons why not, because she's a very high-end breed, and there's a very high risk that she could get stolen. Therefore, I do not want to publicise where I am or where my dog is. I'd far rather keep her safe. And that is where people can say that the dog isn't real. Even if I do bring a dog on camera, you can say that isn't your dog. The same is very much true of God. They can say prove it by calling him down in person, but that's just as possible to produce empirical evidence of having a dog without having it in any other form. I could show you a picture of my dog and say, yeah, that's my dog, and you can say, no, that's not your dog, it's a dog, it's not yours. Similar to presenting you evidence of God and say, that's evidence, it's not evidence of your God. Who says evidence at all? I've had a very similar situation with my pony. One of my colleagues, who I'm pretty sure was just joking, she said that she didn't believe I had a pony, that the pony was a figment of my imagination. Even when I pointed across the field to my pony and called out to her, which didn't bring her over, didn't help, she didn't believe me. That just shows you can have tons of evidence, everything available, to prove that you have that available. That you have a dog, that you have a pony, that you have a God. And you can always find a denier who'll refuse to listen or accept any of the evidence you present. So far from proving that dogs are better than God, Johnny has actually provided the best analogue for God. A being who asks for attention from time to time, runs to greet you when you come home, even after ages of being away, requires a lot of consideration when adopting, a lot of care on a daily basis, a lot of listening to understand, and a lot of love to deal with at any given moment. All this, and he says he prefers dogs, a creature that we took in, shaped to fit our preferences, and still are shaping today. I'm not going to pretend I know what was going through Johnny's head when he adopted his dog. But I do have to ask, was that dog the way it is now when he got it, implying he shopped around? Or did he have to train the dog to the point it was as friendly and loving as it is now, implying he made it the way he wants? It sounds like the thing that Johnny has shown us is he loves many aspects of God, but he only loves them in something that he made. So for all you dog lovers out there, your four-legged friends, they're more like God than some people want to admit. And even then, that's because we made them as such. I'd like to thank Johnny for giving me the opportunity to make this video. I hope you and your furry friend are doing well. For those of you who are still watching, please subscribe to the channel. I'm doing lots more in the future. And whilst I can't guarantee any time I'll bring my dog on camera, you never know, she might turn up at some point. In the meantime, thanks for watching, stay safe, and God be with you, my friends.